What's up, guys? I wanted to talk a little bit about what's been going on lately with EA and these loot crate, uh, the loot crate stuff, and all the things that I've been talking about with DLC and on monetization and all this stuff that to me is ruining the gaming industry. Now, the latest news, right, that just broke is that Belgium and Hawaii just declared that loot crates and loot boxes, or whatever you want to call it, in these games is gambling. It's considered gambling. It's a form of gambling because a lot of this stuff, you're selling something to people that they don't fully understand what they're getting because it's purposely made that way. So it's a gamble. You buy one of these loot crates or whatever they want to call it, cards. Sometimes they call it jewels or crates, boxes, whatever it is. It's like a mystery. You buy it and then you're hoping to get something, but you end up getting something else. So you got to buy another one, and so on and so forth, until you get whatever item it is that you feel you need to progress in the game or just to improve. It could be a car or your character or your weapons, whatever the case may be. So this whole system is a ripoff. I've been telling you guys about it. I'm very anti DLC. On very rare occasions do I support DLC, and I've been very specific about it, is if it adds an entirely new chapter to a game, like Red Dead Nightmare did for Red Dead Redemption, or Ballad of Gay Tony, or The Lost and the Damned for Grand Theft Auto 4. But these are entirely new chapters to existing games. It's adding an entirely new story. You got your money's worth. It's almost like buying a separate game. That's the only time I support DLC. Everything else, whether it's for skins, weapons, all this other stuff, to me is a ripoff. And the reason I've been against it from the beginning is because it leads to this mess that we have now, which is microtransactions and loot crates, loot boxes, cards, whatever it is. And EA has taken the mantle right now as the worst company because of what they tried to do with Star Wars Battlefront. And I'm glad they did it because they finally went one step too far, which for me happened a long time ago, but for a lot of people, this seems to be the moment where they realize this shit's not going to end. It's only going to get worse. And now every fucking game that comes out is based around this system of monetization. And it's destroying the entire gaming industry. And the people that get hosed in the end are the consumers. And this happened because gamers allowed it to happen. When DLC started becoming normal, they went along with it. And when I used to tell people, you don't need skins, you don't need this stuff, you can enjoy the game without it. If you buy this stuff, you are telling these publishers and developers that it's okay to do this, that there's money to be made here. The law of supply and demand is never going to fail. They'll keep supplying this garbage as long as there's a customer and a demand for it. So this is why I tell people it's up to you as the consumer not to support this garbage, because if you support it, it's not going to stop and it's only going to get worse. Okay, this is the way corporations work. They're greedy. Human beings in general are greedy. If you expect them to do the right thing by consumers, then you're a fool. It's never going to happen. That's not the way business works. they're always going to look at the next step on how can we squeeze even more money out of people. How far can we get away with this stuff? How far can we go? How far are they going to let us get away with it? And these loot crates and loot boxes, it's insane. But thankfully, Belgium did something about it, and in Hawaii they also declared it gambling, which means it falls under a certain sets of rules. And the worst part of it is that it exploits children, because the majority of people who spend money on this is kids, because they don't have the same level of self-control that maybe an adult has. And a lot of times parents don't give a fuck what the kid's doing, as long as the kid is busy playing video games and isn't bothering them. Now, I'm not talking about all parents, but let's be honest. There's a lot of people who view video games as the new babysitter. As long as these kids are sitting there and have all their focus on these games, the parents are free to do whatever it is they want to do. Whether it's actually doing work at home, cooking, cleaning, chores, whatever it is, right? There are moments where parents don't want to deal with the kids, and they're forced to interact with the kids because they don't have a choice. Video games have become that new babysitter. You know, as long as the kid's playing the game, they're in their own little world, and a lot of these parents, unfortunately, don't give a fuck. So when these kids want to buy this loot crate garbage or partake in microtransactions, most of these parents don't even have a clue where this money's going. They don't care, because it's a few bucks out of their pocket. But as long as the kid's happy and he's not crying and screaming, they're okay. Meanwhile, the industry is making a killing, and it's really off of children. And there's a lot of adults who knowingly feed this system as well, because all of these games are now focused more and more on online multiplayer. And unfortunately, these corporations have found a way to entice people to spend more in order to compete, because they purposely make these games so unbalanced that if you don't want to spend a dime, yeah, you can literally play the game that way, but one, the game is completely unbalanced and you won't be able to compete with the other people online, because they have all the stuff that you refuse to pay for, but now you're getting your ass kicked. Or you're not having the same level of experience that they're having because they have an advantage. So they purposely make these games unbalanced, and it's just a way to force you to feel like the only way I'm going to enjoy this game or not get steamrolled by everyone on the game is to just fall in line and do the same thing. And they get away with it is also because technically they make it possible that, yeah, you can grind your way to getting most of this stuff. The problem is that it takes countless hours to get minor items that for $2 or $3 or $4 or whatever it is, you take a chance and you can get it and you don't have to do all this grinding. Video games used to be about having fun and just experiencing everything there is in the game, and you go through a progression and you experience everything, and everything in the game was designed around entertainment. Now everything's designed around getting you to feel like you have to spend more money in order to get your fix. It's almost like a drug. And this is why I've been beating this drum for a long time. And I feel kind of vindicated because I've been telling people this stuff, and I used to argue with people in the forums, And a lot of people used to say stuff like, who cares, it's my money, people should be able to spend their money any way they want. That's not what this is about. It's not about freedom of choice. This is that they're rigging the system so that you cannot enjoy the game unless you partake in this system of microtransactions. So it's rigged. So technically, yes, you can play the game without spending extra, but it's completely unbalanced. And this is the greed of corporations at work. And this is why I've never understood why people trust capitalism to work on its own. Now, I'm not anti-capitalist. I'm not like a full-blown socialist. However, no system is perfect. Everything has to have rules, regulations to provide a system of balance, checks and balances. No system is perfect. So capitalism works on supply and demand. And if people want a product, you provide it, and so on and so forth. But they've found a way to make it so that you're going to want the product be only because you can't enjoy the game without that extra product, which is microtransactions and loot crates and all this other garbage. So if you don't regulate this stuff, if you don't implement some level of sanity through regulation, and you let these corporations get away with anything they want, they're going to do it. They're testing the waters each and every time. I mean, this loot crate shit has gotten out of control, and it feels like a new wave of shit, but it's been coming slowly. So this is why I refuse to spend a dime on DLC. And only in that case where there's an entire chapter added to a game, an entire story, a whole new experience that's worth the money, only under those circumstances have I ever spent the money. But paint schemes, shark cards, loot crate, all this garbage, I'm telling you, it's destroying the gaming industry. Now, it's great news that Belgium and Hawaii took that first step and they actually called it what it is, which is gambling. But EA has also been forced to take a big step back because of the backlash against Battlefront. Also, by the way, their Need for Speed release, another massive garbage fest of fucking microtransaction garbage. They don't even have a garage anymore where, like, traditionally you could upgrade your cars in the game and you had a sense of progression, like you were involved, or you raced for certain things and you earned some money in game just playing the game, and you actually felt like there was a reason, a rhyme and reason to everything. No more. Now they came out with some bullshit cards, and you don't even know what you get sometimes. You're hoping that you get certain upgrades, and you buy this package, and it's a bunch of garbage, and you don't get that old school garage system of upgrades. And technically, yes, you can grind, but it takes forever just to get minor upgrades. And once again, EA. So EA is the worst company at the moment, just in terms of ripping people off. But every company is watching what's happening with EA, and this is why I'm glad they did what they did with Battlefront, because it finally, that seemed to be the trigger to get people that were accepting this shit. Even now, they said, this has gone too far. Enough is enough. And EA, it got so bad that EA was forced to step back and actually put a stop to the loot crate garbage in Battlefront. However, and this is a huge stipulation, it's temporary. They never said we're doing away with it, you'll never see it again. They said we've decided to stop and we're reorganizing everything. We're restructuring things. They didn't really get into detail, and because the game, all this stuff happened before release, so they committed a huge mistake because now the game wasn't even out yet, and there was a backlash on Reddit, all social media, everybody. It was just coming at them from all sides. Even Disney, okay, another evil corporation, even they're pissed off at EA because they're like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You're fucking with the revenue of the game. So, they had to step back because nobody would buy the game. They said, we gotta undo this ASAP so that we can release the game. But I don't trust these motherfuckers because the first chance they get, they're gonna re-implement this shit. Maybe they'll structure it differently or in a scaled down version. But if you think they're gonna just give up on microtransactions and ways of squeezing money post-release of a game, it's not gonna happen. They're gonna keep looking for ways to do it, which is why it's up to us as consumers to remain vigilant and fight back. And it's the easiest thing to do. You don't have to do anything to fight back. All you have to do is refrain from buying the extra stuff. The DLC, the microtransactions, the loot crate, the boxes, the cards, whatever the fuck they want to call it. Don't buy it. It's so simple. It's not like you have to get up and go and actually do something. This requires no work at all. It requires you to show some discretion and simply refuse to buy it. And if you stop buying it, it will force them to stop doing it. And that's the only way you'll ever stop it. But as long as we keep, even in small amounts, you think, oh yeah, I'm just going to get this one thing because it's only $2.99. What's $2.99? It's not the point. You can't feed this beast because they already, now that they have a taste of what it's like to make this extra revenue, they're not going to stop. Now, to go back to the old system of releasing a game, charging $60 and moving on to the next game, that shit is like, they're not going to just roll over and do that. To them, that's like, look at all the money we're leaving on the table. Once you got them used to the extra money, all bets were off. So it's going to be extremely hard to get this back on the old track. Now, maybe it's too late. Maybe it will never happen. But I'll be damned if I'm going to feed it into it. I'm not going to be a part of the problem. And this is why I talk about this, because I want people, to finally understand what I've been talking about. And you're making the problem worse when you support DLC. And I know I've been hard on 704 and even Eutechnics, whatever, because paint scheme packages and this and that. I don't care. I don't care. DLC leads to something else even worse. So you think it's harmless, but it never ends. It never stops there. You give them an inch, they'll take a foot. you relinquish and give in, and you give them a foot, then they'll come back for 3 feet. It never ends because they always test the waters. They keep seeing how they move the goalpost, and they keep seeing how much more are people willing to do or to put up with that we can get away with. And that's how capitalism works. These corporations only function as a money-making entity. They don't care about the consumer. They care about how much they can squeeze out of you. And as long as you're willing to allow it to happen, if you allow it to happen, they're going to keep pushing for more. Now, I'm going to make a prediction. Now, first of all, I want to say, while this is good news that EA had to take a step back, and other developers and publishers are looking at what's happening with EA, and now they got to tread lightly, right? Now, Take-Two is another one. Look at what they've been doing with. I told you guys about NBA 2K and the disaster that that's turned into. And 2K is the publisher for Rockstar Games. And Strauss Zelnick, the CEO for Take-Two, he's been on record repeatedly for lamenting the fact that to him and to shareholders of Take-Two, that Grand Theft Auto 5 hasn't made as much money as it could have. He's not happy with the money. Grand Theft Auto 5 has broken every sales record there is. People still buy the game, which is great. You know, the game I have no problem with people buying. But they've made a killing on shark cards. And they feel, Strauss Zelnick, the CEO, feels that they didn't do enough to monetize the game. And they're always proud to tell you how you don't really have to spend a dime. And to their credit, I've been able to enjoy this game since it came out. And I still play this game almost every day. Okay, which is a testament to how great the game is. And to their credit, they've added a ton of DLC for free. Okay? I've never seen a game where a developer has constantly added free DLC like and the support, the way they've supported the game. So I give them a lot of credit. And you guys know I love Rockstar. I love the games they make. But I'm telling you, I don't let that blind me to reality. Just because I'm a fan of their abilities to make games and I love what they do, I don't let that blind me. You know, I'm not a blind fanatic of anything. You know, I can be a fan and still be objective. And I'm not going to blindly follow anyone or anything into the abyss. And I see things coming with Rockstar that I don't like. And I've told you guys, I'm just telling you now. I'm afraid about what they're planning for Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm sure the game's going to be fantastic, but I'm afraid of what they're looking to do online. And everything that, you know, that they talk about, and the Strauss Zelnick and the things that he's thrown out there, they're not going to do what they did with Grand Theft Auto. You know, so it's not going to stop at like shark cards. They're going to look for other ways to monetize. So if you think because I'm looking forward to this game and I love the games they make that I'm just going to put up with it, not me. And I'm just telling you guys, don't support DLC, man. I'm just telling you. Unless it's an entire chapter to a game. And many games have done it, you know, where they really added something that just adds a whole new dimension to a game. That's fine. But not trinkets, skins, weapons, or upgrades to your character or to a car. I refuse to do it. So, as I was saying, it's good that this is happening because it's causing people to take pause and take a step back, and hopefully it leads to more people getting involved and realizing, waking up about what's been happening and doing their part to say, you know what, I'm not going to partake in it. I'm not going to be a part of the problem. I'm not giving these people another dime. Now, the other thing I want to tell you guys is, and like I told you, they're just going to, they're not going to go away with trying to monetize and find other ways to squeeze money out of people that goes beyond the retail price of the game itself. I'm going to make a prediction, and it's not something that's going to happen in a year or two. But I could see, and I could see this happening within the next 5 years. The business model that we currently see, where the developers make a game and a publisher releases it and charges X amount, $60, and you go buy the game, that is going to change. And I've been seeing this for a long time, and I'm just telling you guys, I want to go on record because I promise you, and it could be, I see it happening within the next 5 years, more or less. It might take another year or two longer, or it could happen sooner. I don't know. But I'm going to go on record, and I'm telling you, you guys will remember that I'm the one that told you guys. They're going to do away with that business model. And it's only going to take one publisher to come out and try it. And once they do it, everyone else follows in line, because that's the way it works. Somebody's going to come out and they're going to say, we're not going to sell the game. We're only going to offer it as a rental. So if we rent this game out to people, and we already see a rental business model with PlayStation, with the PS Now system, whatever the fuck, which is a ripoff. But they're going to charge X amount a month to people, and you'll be able to play the game, but you won't own it. So it's only available to you as a rental. Now, they'll lose money on certain games because people may play the game for a couple months and finish it or whatever and just be done with it. But there'll be games like Grand Theft Auto, or really popular games that have a big following online and people play for years. And they'll charge people, I'm just going to throw a number out there, let's say $4.99 a month. And that sounds to people like $5 a month. That's nothing. Who cares? Think about it this way. A game like Grand Theft Auto, I think it's safe to say most people have played it beyond a year. So if you paid $4.99 for a year, that's the price you paid for the game outright, $60, and you own it. But if you play it for a year and you just paid the $60 for the game, you don't own it, and you still got to pay that monthly fee to keep playing. And you play online, you just been playing it and playing it and playing it. A lot of people still play Grand Theft Auto online, including myself. Could you imagine $4.99 for each individual who's played the game for more than a year? They'd make a killing. And people would think, well, I could save money because I'm not spending $60. I'll just rent it. But then all you got to do is play it for a year, and if the game's decent and you play online, you're going to play it for more than a year. They'll make their money back and more. And I see it happening. I could see it somewhere on the horizon. And I could see it happening sometime within the next 5 years. And once one publisher does it, other publishers will fall right in line and they'll say, you know what, we're not going to sell the game, we're just going to make it available as a rental. And that'll be the way you get your games. No more buying the DVDs, the games. You're not going to have physical copies anymore. And I mean, some of this stuff is not new. Some of this stuff is, I'm sure some of you guys are like, this is not anything new or whatever. But I'm telling you that this business model is going to go to online rentals only. And they'll make more money that way. And they'll make people feel like, well, you won't have to buy the game for $60. You could just rent it. And I'm telling you, they'll lose money on some games, right, that people don't play for a year. But they'll make that back and more with big titles. I'm just telling you, man, it's headed there. And you'll remember that I said it. I see it happening. And it's a shame. Because we all are responsible for the decisions that these corporations make. Because when you go along with their business model, you're telling them it's okay to do this. I'm accepting this. And at some point, people started just accepting loot crates as part of the deal. It's awful. It's awful. And thankfully, people finally stood up, and EA is catching a shitload of heat for Battlefront and Need for Speed. These games are all now. It's just they're all coming out this way. So we got to do something before it gets any worse. And all you have to do is stop feeding into it. Now, for these young kids that I was talking about, unfortunately, they have no control. They don't understand what the gaming industry, how it works, or what they're actually doing to ruin it. All they care about is playing the game they're playing, and they don't want to be the only one who doesn't have the latest or the most, the biggest upgrades. And these companies know what they're doing, and it's shameful. But at the end of the day, it's really the parents. They're not really paying attention to what the kids are doing, because all they care about is that the kid leaves them alone so they could do whatever they need to do, and the kid is just stuck in front of this game all day, and they're not bothering their parents. So to them, they don't care. The kid wants to spend. They don't even care what the kid's spending the money on. So there's only so much we can do. But that's all I wanted to say. I'm telling you guys, this is where it's headed. But there is some good news, and some of this stuff that's happening right now, it's good to see that there was a big backlash. But EA, they're not going away. And they didn't say we're doing away with this stuff. All they said was we're restructuring everything, and we decided not to do this now. But believe me, they didn't really leave a lot of room for interpretation. It's pretty clear that they're just going to revisit this later. Maybe once they hit a certain amount of sales for Battlefront, then they'll just say, okay, release the Kraken. Let's go. Boom. Let's just hit them with it now. So, what do you guys think? I look forward to your comments, and thanks for listening. Later.